how you can drink. Well, you can eat Tangfastics, but it's like you don't like fizzy drinks. Not that they're the same, but Tangfastics still
Sour.
impart a certain sensation on your tongue. Like it's weird.
Sour is different. It's not like a. Sometimes it can be. But,
Speaking of, that's the sort of sounds that come from the weapons that we're talking about today.
When he eats a Tangfastic.
No, that's when I drink anything that's fizzy. That's the sound I make.
Yeah, maybe we should stop with the obnoxious sounds. We've all gotten one out of ourselves, so let's just keep a lid on it now.
Hopefully, we'll be all right for the rest of the video.
Yeah,
unless I do some gun impressions to make a point.
Gun impressions. We'll do one for every weapon, I guess.
All right.
All three of them. Okay, so I don't know. I don't know how to handle this kind of thing. I don't know whether to presume people know what this is or not, but I've got the rating system on the screen for some reason. But this is a thing we do from time to time. It's actually not, because we do it definitively once per month over the course of 2 parts, and it will stop eventually. So it's not really like from time to time, but it does feel like it's been a while still. But you know, we decided how to do this, and it was 1 guy per month. Otherwise, we'd get completely fucking bored to death. In fact, I remember we thought that we could actually do both parts in one sitting, though, which will prove. We'll see. But I'm willing to bet that after this, we'll not be willing to do the next part today. That just doesn't work. Either way, this is a thing where we give a rating to every mod and overclock for a weapon as objectively as we can in order to discover our true thoughts about the balance of the game. I think that's important because it's not actually, it can't be like objective across like the whole community, and it's not. People have what now that you're here. Now that you're here, is that how we're going to balance things out?
Yeah.
We got a fucking idiot an opinion.
He's never even used the hurricane in his life.
He has. No, I've seen him use it. I've seen him use the hurricane. Right, Tom?
Is that the rocket one?
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, the valid opinion guy over here. But yeah, no. Last videos we did, there was someone that I would say politely disagreed, but just simply stated their differences in opinion, and that is not allowed. First of all, no more.
Yeah, don't do that, please. Can't handle it.
Yeah. But also, yeah, that's the point. But still, generally, I think people agreed with us. Because I think generally, when we say something's a 3, people would agree. But it's some of the more wild ones where people began to disagree.
Yeah, there's going to be at least one interesting one. Because I actually don't know where I'm going to place it. Or where it's going to end up, how it's going to end up being rated, because of the way the what the ratings are doesn't actually fit in with that guy. You'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. Not in a minute. I mean, it's not in the first one. First one being everyone's favourite minigun, because it's the only one. Actually, honestly, one of the best miniguns, I think, just in general, in video games. It's pretty up there. I think. Yeah, it is up there. It's the lead storm minigun. Actually, I think I was supposed to do a little thing, a little transition. There's minigun. Look at that. Woo! Minigun. Okay. And we just go through each mod one by one and give them a rating from 1 to 5. I'm actually going to look at the ratings again because I just... 1 out of 5 is unusable, 2 out of 5 is suboptimal, 3 out of 5 is balanced, 4 out of 5 is optimal, and 5 out of 5 is too strong. Okay, that cleans things up for me. Right. Minigun.
Now they're looking at the now.
Yeah.
Good old code.gg. If you don't know of it, go look it up. It's handy.
Still don't know who made this site. I just want to know if you ever have my thanks and my undying affection, because this thing is so fucking brilliant. Minigun tier 1, fridge, magnetic refrigeration, plus 1.5 cooling rate, minus 0.15 sec cooling delay. I mean, I don't care, because like this is probably the one that no one thinks about in tier 1. As far as I know, because I've never even thought about like the heat on the minigun. I just find it incredibly easy to control, and especially considering what else is in tier 1, this guy doesn't mean shit. So it's an automatic 2 as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I guess the fact that yeah, I've never even heard of it. Right? I mean, yeah, I wouldn't. I don't know these things off by heart, but yeah, this one I think
Yeah,
would be better.
exactly. It's one of the ones you wouldn't. It's one of the ones you wouldn't like remember. You would just like, tell me some minigun upgrades. You'd probably say like, I don't know, that. Not that. Not that. Option 2 though is improved motor plus full rate of fire. Obviously, we're starting with a pretty significant starting rate of fire. So it might seem somewhat redundant, but it is definitely usable and it's a noticeable benefit. It's just not as needed as the next one. As in, I would give this a 3, but I would give this one a 4. Improved platform stability. I feel like most people use this. Taking the increased accuracy is just so beautiful.
Even though obviously bullets they go as far as they go, it making them more accurate just inherently increases the range, right? And doesn't really decrease the short range. So
No,
it just
no.
increases your overall ability to use the gun.
Yeah, and it just suits the minigun so well. Like, it feels so much better with this than this does. As in, this doesn't like make it feel much better. Not that it doesn't improve it. It's just this is a combination of genuinely improving it, but also like making the feel of the weapon so much better. So that for me, that's a 2, 3, 4. It does, doesn't it? It absolutely does. And so I will punch the numbers in. And you'll see. Well, you'll see we've got tables, and you'll see each table after each weapon's done. Okay, tier 2. Plus 600 max ammo, plus 2 damage per pellet. Personally, I would say 3 and 3 because this is a very, very equal tier. I used to think that ammo was like, easily the best option, but it's not. They both. Even if it feels like you have less ammo of this one, it equals out, I think, in overall effectiveness. So
yeah,
that's where I'm at with it. I don't really have anything else to say. I think it's just equal, and it's helpful because there's only 2 of them, which the minigun doesn't really help. In fact, there's like 4 tiers with 3 options.
yeah.
But sometimes ammo
I'm
more
currently
of a
I picked
positive
up
on
I-
guns when just shooting the gun does stuff. Like for
yeah.
not as much on the minigun, but it does have burning hell, where having more ammo means that you can use the fire a bit more.
It's hilarious, though, isn't it? In case of burning hell.
But essentially, every other thing you do with it, damage wouldn't be a bad shout.
Yeah.
And like, if anything, slightly preferable. Because I'm just going through my build, I realized, I pick like overwhelming amounts of like ammo, and I realized I probably shouldn't be picking ammo with bullet hell. Like I realized I should probably be taking a bit more damage with that.
Probably not be taking bullet hell.
Yeah, obviously, but I have a build for everything. So, but yeah, I don't know. I do. Yeah, I think just looking at my build, yeah, it's about split, about 3 in each. So, yeah, I definitely agree that they come down to your build and or what you like, right? Like, if you prefer more sustained damage, like over a period of time, if you just prefer dealing more damage then and there, then damage.
These might actually be like the most equal damage and ammo mods in the same tier.
I imagine
Maybe.
there might be a bit of math that would either prove that they essentially give you the exact same amount of damage, like generally, or that it's not like that. But yeah, as of now, they really feel 3 and 3.
3 for 3. Speaking of 3s, we've got tier 3 with 3 options. Hardened rounds plus 200% armor breaking. I think it's actually better to go through them all first. Improved stun plus 20% stun chance plus 2-second stun duration, and blow through rounds, which is plus 1 penetration. It's kind of weird. You look at the stun one, and it looks like easily like the most like, well, it's got 2 things, so already it's like, whoa. But I think it's actually the worst of the 3. Genuinely, because I'm not a big fan of stun. But in the case of the minigun, armor breaking feels great because it allows you to like just hit anything and deal good damage from any angle, and then blow through rounds just jacks it up to like being just better at crowd clearing, just a lot better. But it's surprising to me how equal I find these 2 to be. Personally, this one falls a bit short, but I don't know if that's a 3-2-3 or a 4-3-4. I don't know.
Well, I think with some things, I think it's how domineering it is, right?
Domineering.
Like,
That made up word. Yeah.
what?
Not a made up word.
Domineering, a made up word.
It's not used correctly. Like it's they're dominant instead of domineering, but domineering is a word.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Harry,
I would say, I guess,
you're in word school.
yeah,
Idiot,
just a
man.
word guy. I think tier fives would be described as domineering. They're the ones that take over a tier and all gun. I don't
Well,
think any of
the
these.
penetration, I think, is actually pretty off. Like, probably the most picked one here. Because people
Probably
tend to want their gunner primary to be good at crowd clearing. So it
yes,
feels pretty
secondaries
natural.
are very often not that, right? Well, used to
But they
be.
aren't.
All guns thrown a wrench in that. You had to pull some magic bullets to actually get some AoE secondary.
Yeah, and it actually works with that as well. Oh, as in, I'll put you talking about bullet hell, as in this actually works with bullet hell. So it's got that on its side. It actually makes bullet hell better. So it's got that going for it.
I think it might just be 3. Like the last one's 3, and I think it's just your stun bias kicking in for the middle one. I don't think there's anything wrong.
It might not be
with stun.
worse. That might not be worse, but blow through might be better than the other two on an objective level for the minigun.
So in saying that, I only have stun on like predominantly use blow through.
So yeah, especially because that is on average what you want from your primary. It's better crowd clearing. In fact, that gives that, and it is a very common pick. I'm leaning towards 3, 3, and 4, possibly. Keeping in mind that 4 is not like we need to keep in mind that 4 is not like a terrible thing as well.
Yeah, but I don't think it's inherently strong. I just think it's preferable. Like it's just like people would rather a bit of AoE on the minigun.
I
like,
might
generally.
I might be trying too hard to not
What
have it be
Iris
equal.
for-
What?
Yeah, but if you want to use anything other than that, then
Why
you
would
might
why would you want to do that though?
shut up.
I think I might be trying too hard to make this unequal, because when I looked at these beforehand, I thought this is actually one of the best tiers because they're all
Yeah, I
quite
think they
equal.
all-
We might just need
they
to be
all
nice to
provide-
it.
They all provide funky effects that benefit the gun in different ways. Like obviously the third one is like crowd clearing. The first one is like single target, like thing, which helps you generally. And then the stun is, I guess, also single target.
Stun's a bit of
I do
both,
think the
isn't
stun
it?
is a bit of a weird decision there, to be honest with you, but I don't think it's a weak one.
No, but they did buff it, I think, especially, and it's also it's got more going for it. It's sort of compensating. It would definitely be a suboptimal pick if it was just one of those things. But it's not. I think it is actually a fairly equal tier, and I think we're going to give it that. I'm going to give it 3s across the board because it's not going to be as equal in the next tiers.
Yeah.
Such as tier 4, where we have this one, which is variable chamber pressure, plus 15% damage per pellet, plus 15% damage after reaching base spread, as in standard accuracy, once it's like fully focused in. Lighter barrel assembly, minus 0.4 seconds spin up time, and magnetic bearings, which is whatever that is, increase the time it stays at max stability. I think we know what's the runt of the litter out of these 3. Certainly. This one. This one. It's just not really used, is it? It's just...
Yeah, it's not base value, really, is it? Unlike the other 2.
No, especially this one. Good lord. That's the one, right?
You feel it. You feel the the responsibility. It's not responsibility. Responsibility is obviously not the
responsiveness.
word.
Responsiveness. Yeah, it sounds a bit weird. It sounds a bit like heavy of a word, but it is the right word. Yeah, responsiveness.
Even if this is technically like worse than the other things, it will always feel better, right?
Like
It will always
faster charge up on the.
Yeah, essentially, like it is literally having that responsibility buff, well, responsiveness buff. That really, I don't know. You always notice it essentially, and
it's never not welcome. It's like always a good pick. and it's more often than not the best pick as well in most cases. You know,
And I think, unlike magnetic bearings, which I think you may notice the effect if you're keeping an eye out for it, but you won't really. And I think the same could arguably be said for variable chamber pressure. I don't think you'd really notice the damage increase, even if it's there.
you don't always. I think there's a few instances where it's good enough. I think I want to give that a 3 because we're definitely giving this a 4, as in this is the optimal pick and this is suboptimal. And I do think that's better than magnetic bearings. I think this is better than magnetic bearings because it adds damage. And this just isn't as noticeable of an effect. I think that sounds right to me. 3, 4, and 2. As in, I don't feel, as in this one, I don't feel strongly enough to give it a 1. It's arguably never the best pick in this tier, but it's also obviously not a downgrade either. So 3, 4, and 2 sounds right to me. Yep.
Yeah, I don't use magnetic bearings.
Yeah, no one does. Don't worry. Tier 5. Okay, it's beginning to get. I've got to think it interesting. It's always interesting. It's always at this base level of interest and boring clashing. Aggressive venting. Actually, you probably know what all of these are. Aggressive venting, cold as the grave, and hot bullets. I would ask, perhaps, what you think the best one is, Tyler, out of these 3.
Well,
because I know what I think.
Like you as Stun, I don't like aggressive venting as a mechanic. I don't like it. And so with that, I would say hot bullet, and I would also think that's probably true.
Hot bullets is the best one.
Yeah,
definitely the best one. It's a really just cool, noticeable increase in damage. Like it genuine, you feel the damage increase, and it also you just get the fire effect as well. It's a fantastic upgrade. That's easily a 4 because I do think it's more often than not the better pick out of this bunch. Cold as the Grave is pretty cool though. Literally.
I think Cold as the Grave is probably a 3.
Yeah, it's a strong 3.
I think it would be perfectly fine, but just the other choice is just a bit too domineering.
It's just a bit too good. I find it just too easy to keep control of the heat for it to not be worth picking. Even with Burning Hell. Obviously, you shouldn't be using Cold as Grave with Burning Hell because it doesn't work. But I use it for hot bullets to get hot bullets quicker. And I rarely overheat. So that means aggressive venting, unfortunately, is, for me, the weaker of the bunch. But I don't know if it's lower than 3. I personally think it is. Because it's just a bit too annoying to use. Well, that's it. It's just if it came with like manual heat dump, like as part of it, there'd be a much better, like stronger argument. Like obviously the Drac has that on its side, but this doesn't. And I feel like when compared with the other choices, it's like. It's really just for. I feel like it's only useful for someone with a really stupid playstyle who just lets themselves get surrounded and just doesn't stop shooting.
The one thing I have aggressive venting on is Lead Storm because I know that I can't bunny hop with it, so I'll get consumed and then it will just.
I get it for Lead Storm actually. That's not a bad idea. I still don't use it. I still can't use it for Lead. Because I can't use Lead Storm and I can't use aggressive venting. I don't like either of them. Also, it might be popular enough that we might have to give it some recognition points. It might have to be a 3 rather than a 2. I don't know if you agree.
Yeah, I think this is a lot more just our personal preference.
Yeah, but it's not. Yeah, but I think Hot Bullets is just pretty much undeniably the better one.
Would we? I think Hot Bullets could be looking at a 5. When would Hot Bullets not be the best choice?
I suppose I have to point out I don't have a single build where I don't use Hot Bullets.
Exactly. Like, even with
but Tyler, is that only because I don't have problems with the heat management, and I feel like people who do would prefer both of these other ones. it might not be fair to be like, this is just the best thing. You shouldn't be taking anything else, because I don't think that applies to everyone.
Yes.
So you're what? So you're not comfortable with it being a 4? Does that
I
not
think
sound right to you?
considering you have it at like an 100% pick rate, and I think most other experienced people would essentially agree that hot bullets is free damage and free a lot of damage. And I don't know.
You might be right. Tom?
Hot bullets.
Yeah.
On your miniguns, do you always use hot bullets? I mean, you always use the plain builds, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
What
So,
are the
like,
other
all of
options
the-
for that last one anyway?
Remember Cold to the Grave, where it takes away heat for every kill,
Hmm.
and then aggressive
Man.
venting.
Isn't that where it gets hot around you or something?
Yeah.
Hot around you, shit. Because you can just in with burning hell.
I suppose so. Yeah, you can do that.
That's all I do. I just spin in a circle and kills all the swarmers. Even the grunts, really. Just ignites them instantly. The hot bullets, yeah, it's kind of good, obviously, the best. But if you're not using the revolver with the extra heat bonus, I don't think it's necessary. Or like, I think the heat removed on kill is probably better, because the positive of the hot bullets is its ranged heat application, whereas the burning hell overclock is only point blank heat application. If you need
But
to
that's
set
taking
someone
up your
down from far
overclock
away-
slot, and I don't think the other options in tier 5 are that competitive with hot bullets. I think there's much better reasons to take other overclocks than Burning Hell than there are reasons to take mods other than hot bullets.
What?
I don't know. I think definitely minimum 4. But
Yeah,
I'm
well-
thinking, if anything, it's looking at a 5.
Yeah, it's a 5, but
That.
or is 5 literally that it has?
5 is essentially there is never a circumstance like this one.
Well,
It's
put it
just
4 then,
dominating.
because you don't necessarily want it all the time.
Yeah, I
It would
think.
never hurt you though.
No, it would never hurt
No,
you.
it won't. But
You would
the other one,
actually,
the other,
but
the,
there's never a situation where you just pick that over the others.
I
right?
think-
because I'm thinking like,
because
oh
having,
no,
having heat removed is very fucking good on kill.
Yeah,
because it
on
then means
kill,
that it
but-
won't fucking overheat.
you know what else prevents you from overheating? Stop shooting. But like burning hot bullets would probably kill everything during that.
Yeah, I don't need better cooling. Aggressive venting is also meant to make you cool faster. I don't need that shit. First of all, I've got a minigun, which means I can kill things. They might be dead, so I might need to worry about that. I also have a secondary weapon. Usually I'm taking. Well, I have a secondary weapon. I have a pickaxe. I have shields. I'm not too concerned, to be honest. I think it should be a 5. Actually, I think it should. I think I'm with
I
Tyler on
think-
this one.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a div 5. You kind of have to be slightly better for it to be must pick.
But it is, realistically though, with that caveat, it is still the best pick in pretty much, I think, for every build. I was even thinking about Bullet Hell, where it's like Cold to the Grave seems like the better choice. First of all, Bullet Hell's shit, but even then, it's still I actually think it's still good with hot bullets. It still works.
Yeah. And I'm thinking like, oh, the fire effect against Dreadnoughts, like it's probably not a good pick against that. And then I realized the other ones are also
It
bad.
still adds a little bit of damage as well.
Yeah. Like it was like because Cold as a Grave wouldn't kick in because you're not killing it.
It's,
so you
it's
can
actually the best one for Dreadnoughts. It's actually the best one.
I just can't picture a thing. Like you have to actively not choose it. Otherwise, it will just always be the best thing. So yeah, I don't know. I think if it's not a 5, I don't know. On the minigun.
That's actually true. Because we'll get into the overclocks now, and I think you're going to be proven right. and we do these on a category basis. So we've got a little more oomph, which is +1 damage per pellet, and reduced spin up time by 0.2 seconds. And thin drummed walls, which is +300 max ammo and +0.5 cooling rate. What the fuck is going on up there? Hope no one can hear that. Anyway, so this is the better one out of these two. By the way, I just want to point that out because this guy, unfortunately, is pretty useless. Thin drum walls. It's a bit of a shame.
Because I have one of all of them, but obviously there's 7 there, so that's the one I skipped, basically.
Yeah, because it's not worth using instead of that. It's just not. Even if that has a notable downside, it's just not worth using. So this guy gets an automatic 2. It's a clean with 2 benefits. It's not going to be a 1, but it's still a suboptimal pick compared to the other choices. A little more oomph, however, it's definitely a 3. I don't know if I'm going to make a case for it to be more than a 3, though, but it's still really good. Honestly, having that reduced spin-up time is also what makes it as well. It's the overclock for that, and it actually means you can take something like this, but then again, that doesn't seem too useful when you could just have more damage with these two, and it seems a bit trivial. But this feels really good to use, so I'm just going to give it a 3. So we got a 3 and a 2 here.
Yeah, it's a very solid pick. If you just want a bit more damage without having to force your minigun to be a bit closer range, or Leadstorm's disability, breaking your knees, it's the most preferable.
It's good damage and it improves the gun feel with no downsides. So
yeah,
it's really okay. Anyway, these guys, Burning Hell. We know what Burning Hell is. We also got Combat Feed Mechanism, which is +800 max ammo at a cost of 4 rate of fire, and Exhaust Vectoring, which is +2 damage, but oh god, it's actually quite a lot of base spread, isn't it? But like this upgrade completely negates it, like almost entirely. So we got a lovely selection of balanced. We've got Burning Hell, we've got 2 boring ones. These two both get an automatic 3, I think. Because they're both worth using, they're just not crazy. So there's an automatic 3 for both of them. I don't think you disagree, right?
Oh, I have no strong opinions.
There. I've heard people, Reapy Ron has ragged on Exhaust Vectoring, and as far as I'm concerned, he can go fuck himself for that, because Exhaust Vectoring is definitely worth using. It's just good, and I barely think it has downsides. But I actually think these two are more equal, even though this adds more damage. Burning Hell, however, is what's a 4, isn't it? Right? I mean, at least, but yeah, a 4. The hell just happened?
Died.
Yeah, he's dead. He's dead.
Basically, if I remember correctly, yeah. There's a reason why Tom hasn't shut the fuck up about it, is what I was saying. And that's because, generally speaking, you pick Burning Hell. As long as you're not going against the Dreadnought, you've essentially won.
It's not far off a win pick. I gotta say though, I do use Burning Hell quite a bit, and I'm always surprised at how endangered I am. It's kind of odd. You'd think you'd be very safe using it, but
you have to get up close and personal to be able to.
Yeah, it's not like insanely close though, but it's still close enough. But especially given that your weapon is slowing you down as well, you are put in a somewhat more dangerous position, and that's actually its main drawback, not the actual penalties it lists. The actual penalties it lists, I want to point out, not only are they not that bad, I consider it an upgrade because it lets me get hot bullets even quicker, which means I can set things on fire out of range quicker and then obliterate them with volatile bullets. But it is the close range thing. It is felt more than you'd expect, which is why I don't consider it a win pick, especially when it's not really viable on elimination. It still works, but it's not viable. It's nowhere near the best choice compared to the others. And even on something like Industrial Sabotage, it doesn't do shit to the Caretaker at least. So it's definitely not a win pick. But when you think about it, you look at what it does. It has an insane amount of damage that it's capable of doing. Just a disgusting amount in total. It's nuts.
The obvious volatile bullets. Yeah.
Yep, and that combo.
That much, that in a normal mission is essentially a guaranteed win. There is not much.
Shot a fucking has 5.
Yeah, there's not much that they could throw you that you wouldn't be able to easily dispatch with those two.
You can clip a Has-5 Praetorian from the front if you just headshot it.
Yeah.
Volatile bullets is so fucking good, and then you have basically infinite goddamn fire application. That
Giga strong, giga
almost
quick fire.
instantly ignites. Because hot bullets takes a little while to do it. That's still good because obviously it's range, but you also can then just swarmers, not an issue at all because they instantly die.
Oh yeah.
Everything on your screen, you just spin in a circle. Oh, the swarmers spin, hold down right trigger, all the swarmers will just die.
Arguably better than the flamethrower. As heat radiant.
I think for swarmers it's definitely more efficient than the flamethrower. You can just tap and use like one bullet, and every swarmer in a quite a
cone in front of you.
So it is literally they throw small enemies, they're dead. Grunts dead. Praetorians dead. Bolt detonators dead.
It's not just setting on fire is like a good thing for just clearing out enemies. It does deal actual damage. Look, it says 20 area damage per second and 80 heat per second. So you can tear through grunts way quicker than normal with the minigun as well.
Well, because it's also great for even guard grunts because you set them on fire pretty much instantly, then you just quickly swap to the revolver, one shot, and then swap back to the minigun.
Yeah,
even then, if it's a big crowd, I'll just dance around them and let the fire do its work. You don't even need to do. It's so efficient and so deadly, and so useful. It sounds weird that I don't know.
Meanwhile, if there's anything ever that gets so overwhelming, you put a shield down.
Yeah.
So that's I don't know.
It normally doesn't even get to that point because when they're close quarters, that is your fucking thing.
It's odd, isn't it? It's
I want to say it's a tier 5 because it's essentially uncontested with how strong it is. But I think it's only a tier 5 because I think the unstables are kind of ass, so it just doesn't have much competition. It's doing good, but still, it's not seen.
Well, it's also tier 5 just because of how well you can build Gunner for it.
Obviously,
the secondary is fucking perfect. Absolutely incredible. You can also then just use fire grenades, which are really good as well. And then just more fire. And there's also hot bullets that you can put on it as well. So you can just go full fire build on the fucking gunner. Everything works flawlessly together.
Yeah, it's
which arguably does a better job at fire than the flamethrower.
Well, we have. I want to talk. No, hold on. I need to talk about the flamethrower because
it just means it's a complete build. Where a lot of them aren't complete builds. You're secharging for secondary to work with it, but it just doesn't sometimes.
It's the clearest build in the game.
Yeah, it is. It's one of the most prominent
build in the game.
It is one of the most prominent, definitive builds.
They just definitely designed that. They were 100% certain that was going to be a build. I
agree with that because it's why volatile bullets exists. It wouldn't be usable otherwise. Yeah. But it's weird, isn't it? Because you mentioned the flamethrower, and the flamethrower is a weapon that's almost has the same problems as Burning Hell, and there's entire missions where the flamethrower isn't useful, and same with Burning Hell, which is the main argument for it not being in a 5.
Minigun, you can just switch.
But well, that's what I mean exactly. So the flamethrower could still have 5s, but the weapon itself can't be a 5. Because the weapon itself has missions where it's not good, but this is an overclock. So you can have other overclocks where the minigun's going to be usable in every mission type, that's the problem with Burning Hell, and I don't think we can technically give it a 5.
No, I think it's a 4. It's just it's above the rest. That much is and I think moving on to the unstables.
The imbalanced, unstable individuals, Bullet Hell,
I think
and
we
Lead
have
Storm.
to temper ourselves here a lot. These two are not radical anythings, right? These are not 1s or 5s or anything along those lines. They're not that bad. He's gone.
It's actually kind of useful.
Yeah.
Bullet Hell though, Bullet Hell is that's the one there would have definitely been a point where I would have been that's a fucking 1, that's a useless piece of garbo. And you know what? It is a useless piece of garbo. I don't think there's a good reason to take bullet hell. I'll stop there. I don't really have. That's my opinion on bullet hell. But I guess we can't. I actually agree that it's not a 1.
It's not.
My Xbox died.
Me X whatever. Tom, what do you think about bullet hell? Because I guess we got to give it a 2 then, right? Because there are a lot of people who like it, but as far as I know, it's not actually like one of those things where like everyone's gonna get on a case. So are they? It's you see people in like on Reddit and stuff, be like, oh, bullet hell's kind of good. I don't think they're actually a majority of people though. But you do just see them, like they're like a vocal group, the bullet hell lovers, but it's not a majority of people. But clearly, it's not hated as much as it deserves. So. So we're probably gonna have to just give it a 2.
I haven't even used, I literally have only used like burning hell on the fucking minigun.
Yeah, because that much was
the
very
first,
clear.
It was one of the first overclocks I actually got in the game.
Well, Tom, you're gonna have a pretty similar like position on the Thunderhead as well, aren't you?
I have used other ones before I discovered it was me. I was the one who discovered neurotoxin as the best. I was the first. But before then, I was using the big one.
Bertha.
Bertha.
Big Bertha.
Birthing.
What?
Big birthing.
Big birthing. Big birthing.
Big raw.
What the fuck, Tyler? What the fuck?
I'm a big Bertha.
I think is I think it's bad. It's definitely bad. I think all it really has is like there's a bit of fun to it. In that, like, if you're playing at a low enough hazard, it does kill things at a reasonable amount, right? I think that's the thing.
I know it's just like that is the thing as well. It's like it's something like burning in hell. That level of efficiency doesn't come across as actually more useful than bullet hell in the lower hazard levels. It doesn't really notice. You don't really notice it, because you're getting by just as well with bullet hell, right? When you're playing in hazard 5, you notice how much shit you can kill with how little ammo is burning hell, and how much it's the opposite with bullet hell.
Yeah, with bullet hell, I enjoy bullet hell, but on hazard 5, you really notice that you're getting hit so much more than you would if you were to use literally any other like overclock.
Yeah, and the reason why this is based on hazard 5 more than anything else is because if it wasn't, pretty much everything would be a free. So. We can't really not do that. So bullet hell gets a 2, right?
I guess it probably deserves a 1 then, really, because I think it's just.
Well, Tyler, what I'll say about that is, if anything in the minigun gets a 1, it's bullet hell. Is that really an argument for it though?
All right, hold on. We'll give it a 1, and if you viewer disagree, tell us why in the comments. Because.
Well, we'll definitely do a video like that. I think. I don't know what form that will take because there's quite a lot to go through. If we do something like that, I'll probably have to go through some effort to collect like the best points, and we'll just look at specific examples. But either way, it's going to be a 1 for now though, because almost somewhat obligatory. But it's also the most deserving of a 1 on the minigun. If I'm being honest, I think you agree.
Yeah.
The guy who doesn't deserve a 1, but also is not a friend of mine, certainly, is Lead Storm, aka the name of the weapon.
Yeah.
Which is annoying.
Really
annoys
weird
me.
how they did that. I think this is one of those things that you and me both don't like, but that doesn't inherently make it weak. Right?
No.
Because I talked earlier about some things being a bit of a skill diff. Like you have to be kind of good enough to use it for it to be OP, like with hot bullets. You have to be able to manage your overheating, right? For it to be a must pick. Lead Storm, it becomes good once you master it. Like, or at least that's the impression.
Yeah, it's technically extremely powerful if you're good with it. It's like one of the highest DPSs, probably not most DPS to ammo like proportionally as well. See, you can achieve higher DPS with the burts, but I think in terms of proportional to the amount of ammo used as well, it's like the most overall best ratio of like ammo and DPS at Storm, but that requires a lot of skill to make it worth using. Unfortunately,
so much unnecessary. Like it is, you have to master bunny hopping for this one over, so you can do some more damage. Like it's just not worth it. Plus, it fucks around with everything else you do. Like it completely gets rid of stunning, which you
Well, it
might actually kind
doesn't.
of prefer.
It-
Well, I guess it doesn't completely remove.
No,
You like that.
it's actually almost annoying for me, but it's just Praetorians though. The ability to interrupt attacks, especially from like Trijaws mainly, is still appreciated somewhat. But that's really all that stun's good for. What it's bad for is
This would be
interrupting.
an
Like
unreliable-
it's also so quick that the Praetorian will snap out of it in a split second. You've just immediately reduced the amount of time the window you have to shoot its ass by so much. So that just annoys me, especially considering you can't move. Especially considering.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like I try and use it sometimes though as well, and I know the damage is actually it's noticeable. So I don't know where I would personally rank it. Yeah, but it's like we're not gonna get away with that, are we?
It's not. It's got too high of a skill ceiling for it to be worth using a vast majority of the time.
Okay,
right?
maybe I should put in perspective why I think it is a 2, because I do actually think it's the worst pick out of the 3 damage ones. There's 3 of them, 3 skulls, and I do think it's the worst one. I think that level of like, I would much rather use this over Lead Storm.
Yeah.
In fact, I prefer that to this almost. But yeah, those downsides are felt. Like that's a really serious nerf to you, your whole player character.
We're talking about like like how it feels to use the gun, like with some of the other things. Like just feeling it influences a lot, and Lead Storm makes the gun feel horrific most of the time, debilitating to use because it literally is. When you
Yeah,
shoot
and
the
that
gun,
can throw
lose
you
your
off.
leg.
When something feels bad to use, that itself can throw you off and be like a disadvantage. Not that it doesn't have legitimate disadvantages, because it definitely does. I don't know if Tom has anything to say about this, but because I think we're giving it a 2, which sounds crazy, doesn't it? But I don't think we're wrong.
Really? I mean,
Well, no,
lucky
because
to get
it's quite a
one.
popular overclock. I think most people would be like, this thing's like an S tier overclock. You know?
It's not compared to what is actually STO overclock, which we can start getting into.
Once I write this down, Lead Storm gets a 2 out of nothing. Why is there no 5 there? Oh yeah, speaking of which, I suppose I should show you this table. Look at that, guys. Beautiful, isn't it?
I can definitely see these unstable being a bit contentious. Are likely, if I had to guess, some topics to cover in a comments review episode at the end. I could see this being a part of it.
Yeah.
But as far as I'm concerned, yeah, bullet hell. There's never a good reason to pick it over anything else ever. And
Lead Storm, there are good reasons to pick it, but not at first. Like literally, it's not even like if you're good enough with it. At first, there's not really a good reason to pick Lead Storm. It's only once you've taken it and mastered it, now it's a good pick for you, for that person who's mastered it.
competes with the other things.
Well, no, that's the thing though. It definitely outperforms the other things if you've mastered it.
Yeah, what you think a fully mastered Lead Storm where inability to move is not an issue anymore, outdoes
the other damage ones. Yeah, everything except Burning Hell. Yeah. Yeah, it definitely does, because it's just like if you can like learn to downplay the downsides so they don't mean anything anymore, you have like some of the best DPS possible in the game. So you're just a unit. You're an asset. You're brilliant. You're the best. But fuck off.
Not you. You're Burning Hell.
Fuck off, dickhead, twat, bumhole, fanny sniffer. Right, moving on.
Speaking of fanny sniffer,
what do you mean? Speaking of what?
Thunderhead heavy autocannon.
Fuck shit bollocks. There it is. The Thunderhead.
Thunder Flynn.
Sorry, what?
Yeah, that was where the office was.
Where?
Thunder Mifflin.
That sounds so bizarre. Yeah, the Thunderhead, a lovely, beautiful little man. Not little at all, it's giant, fucking hell.
Very large bloke.
A hurricane's a lot smaller than it should be. But this guy definitely is a large, fat bastard. Speaking of fat, we've got fat fucking hell. Tier 1. Plus 3 direct damage, plus times 2 magazine size, plus 220 max ammo. The fuck is this even doing here? Fuck.
I'm sorry. No, before you start on that, I like it. I think I
Is that only because the Thunderhead already has like a lot of ammo that it's like, because I was gonna be like, oh, this is just too good to not use. But you
In saying
realistically,
that, I just realised I pick ammo on every single one of my Thunderheads.
yep, you will, and you probably never won't, because it doesn't make sense.
Simply too much ammo to not pick.
It's way too much. It's way too much, and we're
An extra 50% ammo.
Yeah.
Compared to the damage, which is like an extra.
Well, look at the total damage.
Is that what? All right, yeah, absolutely skyrockets. And then grab the clip side.
Let's see more than the damage still, but
It is more.
and you do have more of a
Plus, I think
clip.
clip size is convenient, right? I think obviously, I guess we'll get this out of the way. That ammo is probably a 5, right? I think
I was thinking like going into this, and yeah, I think so.
yeah, which is bad considering we say the Thunder. Well, we put Thunderhead as S, and it's just a really good balanced weapon, but may not be.
No, this is no. Honestly, this is the worst part of it. Actually, the overclock thing's a bit different. This is more like, because obviously there's reasons to not pick that, but not in this case.
Well, I think probably yeah, that's a 5. I think the ammo, the mag capacity is probably a 3.
It probably should be a 3. I don't feel like I don't think there's any reason to use. And the thing is, yeah, exactly. It being a 5 sort of means the other ones are like 2s, but that doesn't mean they are actually 2s.
It just means that well, that being a 5 makes everything else a 1. Never pick it.
I guess
right?
so.
But,
yeah.
Yeah.
But this is okay.
Yeah.
This is probably a 3. It doesn't. That's the thing. It doesn't really matter what the other 2 are. It doesn't. But this is probably a 3 because why is it 3?
It's good. Like it is not. Like I see what you mean. Like it's hard to comprehend that a magazine size will compete against the damage and ammo, and if it doesn't compete against the ammo. But you saw it itself. Your max damage went up with the magazine capacity more than the damage. Like, first of all, that's a thing, right? If you're going for damage, apparently you should pick ammo capacity. Also, on the Thunderhead, your max size is very nice because reloading is a huge issue, which I don't think is ever relieved, right? Like, is there anything that okay, composite drums, right? So 1 clean overclock and slightly,
Yeah.
and having 220, that'll do you a swarm. That'll do you an entire swarm,
Probably.
especially if you're using neurotoxin. Hell, you don't even probably need to pick it.
No, you don't. You don't need
ammo.
to increase magazine size.
But
You
like,
don't need the
literally,
ammo either, but you definitely don't need the damage. But that's
that magazine size is definitely one of the best in the game, which makes it a 3 because
okay.
I don't
But
think...
the damage though, obviously it's a 2, but it could even be a 1 because of how not worth using it is.
Yeah, I realized that even in like, I was thinking like normally I'm like a sheep, hive mind brain tard when I make my build,
Brain tard.
and I'm like, oh, this is a damage build. I will pick all damage. Fuck ammo. Even then, with this Big Bertha build, and I've got the other 2 damage, I didn't pick damage on that mod.
Yeah,
Like,
I have
normally,
one.
like,
I think
without
I've
a flaw.
reverted it now. I had one where it was Big Bertha, and I took this. And actually, because it was also I only did that because it was sort of corroborated by a Servend build that I found, and I sort of shame on Servend for that because it fucking sucks. It's just not worth using compared to increasing your ammo. In fact, especially with Big Bertha, increasing magazine size is way better than this damage mod, the Big Bertha.
Yeah.
But it's still ammo is still better. So, do you feel like it's a 1 though? It might as well be. It could be. It doesn't really make a difference. That's the thing.
Well, yeah, but no, it does.
And I want to give it a
because
1 because I think it should be better.
we want to use this as a pretty useful sheet in that if they were to nerf the ammo, which obviously we think they should they then buff the damage? If it's a 1, we think they should. If it's a 2, then maybe a little bit, but we'll see. But 2 is maybe, 1 is they should buff it. Do we think they should buff it?
Yeah, because it just doesn't
Yeah.
compete.
And like, do you even if they nerf the ammo?
Yeah, slightly. It should still be. It would still need to be buffed slightly if they if they even halved this.
I think it is worth mentioning that
Think about it.
your damage goes up when you pick that mag size increase. I think that is telling.
But that should at least match that, and this should be. They should also be equaled out. As in, this should probably be. This can't really be better though because of the way the magazine size is. It can't be like, can't add like 165, which is what it would have to add. I think it could, but it wouldn't.
Honestly, with how strong the Thunderhead might have to be, they might have to nerf all of them down to that damage. To be honest with you,
That's probably a better idea.
I think the Thunderhead is probably overpowered, generally, and I think that ammo mod is a testament to it. And I think that magazine mod might take a hit because of that, and to nerf. But yeah, no, I think it's probably a 135 then.
Yeah, that's what it would be. Yeah, 135. Okay.
Which is a very, very bad look for the gun that we've
yeah,
on a pedestal.
It's not going to be a bad look from here on out. Tier 2, times 0.7 base spread. This is oh god. That's increasing rate of fire just overall. That includes starting rate of fire and the rate of fire you can reach. And this actually does add a little bit of starting rate of fire, and also means you get to max rate of fire much quicker. Genuinely a pretty healthy tier in my opinion. In fact, accuracy seems very attractive, and it definitely is. But in a lot of cases, especially if you're using it for swarm clear, accuracy isn't too desperate. So your rate of fire feels really good.
It is a very nice way of helping your damage, but not in a direct way, right? 3 indirect ways of affecting how and when you deal your damage, right? Like the aiming radius is just how reliable is your damage. Then that one is like how high you can get it up to.
Yeah, I would say this one is more particular. This one's more particular. It's more so for these tier 5s as well. That plays into this a little bit. It's actually weird. You have 2 different rate of fire mods in the same tier, and they're both equally worth taking for different reasons. It's actually it's really weird and interesting, cool tier, and I think it's just equal, to be honest.
Yeah, 333 easily.
Yeah,
it is a very interesting, personalized, but also I feel like you could easily not have a favorite out of those, right? Like you could easily just use all of them equally. I don't know. Yeah, I think it's very interesting.
Really cool, just pure utility tier, but it just sort of just works out. It's kind of weird. Tier 3. We got another rate of fire one. I think it's actually exactly the same as the one in tier 2. That's rate of fire, not growth speed, just rate of fire. And we also have loaded rounds +2 area damage and high velocity rounds +4 direct damage. Right. Okay. So fire rate again, probably it would. In a lot of ways, it should probably dip a little bit because of tier 2, but at the same time, it's the fact that you have both available to you, meaning you could take a different option in tier 2 and still have this, and it's actually useful because of the Thunderhead doesn't have great rate of fire at base, and genuinely rate of fire can often feel more useful than actually increasing damage. So I don't think this is actually in a bad spot. I'd probably be willing to give it a 3 again. But we have, for example, +2 area damage and +4 direct damage, which, I guess the direct damage would seem better because it's a higher number. But I'd say they're probably equal in terms of base usefulness, but then it's like the number of builds that would use either one is what you need to bring into question. And I'd say probably direct damage probably gets more use, personally. I think for me, it definitely does. But I'm not sure how to rate these.
I think this is a very, 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 very build dependent one, right? Like I think with the obviously tier 1 is ammo always. Tier 2 is doesn't matter. I would say you pick whatever you feel. 3 is to build.
Yeah,
Like,
what's
I
your
think,
build?
like, what are you aiming for here, right? And I feel like the overclocks really direct you as to where you're gonna go.
Yeah, like rate of fire is good for rate of fire builds. Mainly, like I would say, doubling down rate of fire or compensating for lower rate of fire, or just increasing DPS because you have so much fucking ammo that you need to burn through.
Or just if you find rate of fire fun, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it is pretty fun and it works. It's not a bad pick, genuinely, because of how much ammo you have, especially. Increasing your DPS can be a better choice because of how much you might not end up getting through all that ammo with that, with more damage. Still, you might not end up getting through all of it, so it doesn't really matter. So in a lot of ways, DPS can be more valuable than increasing damage. So this actually competes with the other two. Loaded rounds is, well, that's the thing. I think you're right. It's build dependent. Even if maybe loaded rounds has the less builds that it's useful for, it's still probably equal. It's just less builds.
Down, rocket bomber, splintering shells.
It's just these two, but also that you should use it with that. This one's very malleable, so you could take any of them.
I think you could use any of those 3 with composite drums.
Yeah.
Just get that out of the way. Composite drums is if you just, I don't know, you don't feel like speccing into anything inherently, but I guess you would in this tier. But yeah, it's, I don't know, it's just a very, very healthy tier. I feel like there may be a lazy maybe math that could get involved here and expose why the AoE or high velocity rounds or even the fire rate is like technically worse than the others. But I feel like generally you pick all of them equally depending on what build
Well, Lacy maybe hasn't made a video in quite some time, so as far as I'm concerned, he can pipe down. He can pipe down. Yeah. So I see. It kind of feels weird, but I don't want to force anything. Like I don't want to force any imbalances because I'm feeling another 3-3-3. So just not force it. If that's what we feel, let's just go with it. If we think they would equal. Do you?
Well, I don't think they're inherently equal all the time. Like the second tier.
It's a different type of equality, though, isn't it?
If you're using neurotoxin, I think the fire rate and the damage are not that good an idea. Or fire rate less so because you don't want / need fire rate on neurotoxin.
I tend to take fire rate with neurotoxin.
But I would take the AoE, or I guess is it AoE damage actually?
Yeah,
no, it is damage. I guess actually, so fair enough.
That's usually the one I don't take with neurotoxin. I'll just take the other two.
That's actually a lot more fair. I thought it was Redis, or like both. But it's more, some things better or worse depending on the overclock or the general build. But all around equals to about 3. It's a very healthy selection.
A beautiful selection.
Guiding your build.
Speaking of beautiful, we got tier 4. We've got hardened rounds with 400% armor breaking, and shrapnel rounds with plus 0.6 meter AoE radius.
Single target AoE, always nice to just.
Yep, it's sort of like the utility version of them as well. It's like you either get damage, area damage, or direct damage, or you get armor breaking and area radius. Those sort of the two sides of both of those things, and I think it's another equal one. I think it's another.
It depends on your build. If you're doing direct damage, you might as well, be picking the armor breaking because that will help boost that. If you're going for AoE, you don't really need armor breaking, so you're going to pick the radius.
Exactly.
If you're not going for either, then it's up to you.
It's like It's as in like, and also the reason they equal out is that in the context of those builds, they're like you should be using one or the other. As in, if you're going for direct damage, you should be using this and not the other one. If you're going for AoE, you should be using shrapnel rounds, and you probably shouldn't be using hardened rounds.
You gain no real benefit from using the other in those examples, right? With AoE builds, you're not going to be hitting them dead on, and you don't need to break the armor to deal more damage. And the same is with the direct damage ones. I mean, I guess the area.
It's kind of weird though, isn't it? I would say it's almost like neurotoxin and composite drums are the two ones that blur it, don't they?
Yeah,
Aren't they? It's like you got these are the AoE ones and these are the direct damage ones, but then these
And
two
the
are
other
both
two are-
sort of blur it, don't they? Because honestly,
basically, yeah.
yeah, because of how efficient it is, I don't mind taking this to strip armor with neurotoxin payload because I have so much ammo efficiency. Therefore, I have more ammo, like functionally. But also, you
And
could
to be
increase the
honest,
radius.
would
So
arguably be, yeah, both are actually really good ideas, but for different reasons. The larger radius would hit more enemies with neurotoxin, so increase the AoE element of it. The shield breaking will break some of the tankier ones because you'll likely need to get your secondary involved once because the neurotoxin clean up.
yeah,
They will become more easier targets. So it's just once again a 3 and 3. It's so
it
fucking
is.
healthy.
It is.
Um,
Yeah, see, this is exactly. This is why it's like you're right that the tier 1 looked bad, but I knew that it was overall going to look pretty good, and it will. Even by the end. Don't because yeah, because obviously people know about neurotoxin, but the overclocks are pretty good on the whole. Anyway, tier 5 though. Tier 5, we've got feedback loop, which is plus 10% direct and area damage when at max rate of fire. So that is actually better than it sounds, to be fair, when it's just like, if you just say plus 10% damage, but then you realize, at least it's both. I didn't actually realize that. Suppressive fire, you do 50% fear within 1 meter radius to bullet impact. Apparently the
Plus
radius
50,
gets the same increases as area damage. And then we got damage resistance at full rate of fire. When at max rate of fire, you take half damage from all sources, which is also quite good. So these are all good as well.
they're all funky. They're all like survivability assets, really.
Yeah.
Like even though obviously that first one is obviously more killing, but you are best offense or best defense is a good offense. That's like the first one. The second one is fearing, keeping them away from you. And then the third one is at fire rate, you just take less damage. Like all of them, their kind of goal is to keep you alive longer. In different
Yeah,
ways.
yeah. I would say, I think this one's a bit weird. 'Cause this is really just for defensive builds where you just want all of those effects. But I'm
Which I
not
really
sure
like the
how
idea of
useful that
having
really is because what about damage? But also
Yeah.
this is also very defensive. So suppressive fire is easily my favorite out of these 3, and I'm going to make a case for it being above the others as well. But I want to point out that they're all good. Suppressive fire is just it's also not 100% pick rate either, by the way. As in
AoE build.
feedback loop is better for both of these are kind of better for AoE, I guess. But feedback loop is up there because that's increasing the damage, therefore the rate at which you're going to just obliterate hordes rather than splitting them up. Although once again, think about something like neurotoxin, where fear is better because you don't need them to be bunched up. You just need to paint them. It's actually better as well because they're not going to die instantly. So you actually want to keep shit away from you rather than anything else. So it's also just great for literally any hard crowd clearing build.
Yeah, I think let's go for just a numbers example. I mean, we pull up the overclocks. I mean, suppressive fire for the 2 of the area but as far as 4 out of 6 of the times, it's a perfectly good, if not preferable.
It's also a double-barreled benefit, right? As well, it's it's really good for direct damage because it's like a slow down stun type thing. Therefore, you can focus on something and it can not be affected. It can't get to you, especially Praetorians. Turn them around. But it's also it adds crowd, control to any build.
Yeah,
Which is the main thing, and you can keep shit away from you very easily. And be able to focus on, and it's a really fantastic one. I personally want to give Suppressive Fire a 4, and the other 2 3s. That's what I feel.
Yeah. As much as I like it, I'm not sure. Third. Then again, I haven't really used it since the buff. Didn't it get buffed this season?
Apparently it was like it's a bit. No, it was 30%, but apparently it was always 50%. It just was meant to say, I don't know. Yeah, I personally, this is the least useful one though for me.
Yeah, I feel like
because this is already so defensive.
Any damage.
Yeah, I think this is the less useful one. Is it a 2 though?
I wouldn't want to say it's weak. I just feel like that kind of mechanic isn't really the best in this game. It's not. No, like normally, and I think it's a weird play style to reinforce that normally you would stop shooting when they start getting that close, and you'd start like backing up, some bollocks like put your shield down or something. But encourages essentially just tanking hits while shooting them and just taking it. Um, it's a bit weird. I think it's still a 3, but it's a pretty low down one.
Yeah, I feel like I can't
Balance, but I don't
really.
think that you take
I
it.
feel like 2 does imply a level of like mediocrity or bad, being bad, you know, but it's not. It's definitely not bad. So I feel like we have to give it a 3, 4, and 3. I don't like that, but either way, I don't like the 3, 4, 3. But I think that is right, though. I think that is correct. I'm pretty confident the theory is the better one, but mainly because it's like mainly because it kind of makes the defense one almost redundant, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
they're all good. They're worth using.
The thing is that yeah, if you don't pick fear, that's fine. It is still balanced generally, right? It's you're not going astray for not picking the fear one.
But
More
fear
often.
is the most even with the AoE builds, it's actually not the worst thing to do still because it's still useful. It's just reducing your efficiency somewhat. It's just not like it's not actually it's not a downgrade. It's still a good idea, and that's yeah. So that's fine. I think we got that. Overclocks. Overclocks. We have composite drums, plus 110 max ammo, minus
It's definitely a 3,
0.5
right?
reload time, and splintering shells, plus 1 area damage, plus 0.3 meter area radius. This is definitely a 3. Could easily make a case for this being a 4, but only. But it's also quite like it's almost like I think redundancy is what stops it from being a 4, which sounds weird, doesn't it? But it's like most of the time you just don't need that much ammo. You know, it's not its usefulness isn't it's not particular in any way. It's
I think
just
especially is how like commandeering the other overclocks are, right?
commandeering. Is that what we're using now?
They really take over the gun in an often very strong and prominent and good way, often good. But like when you don't have an overclock that is grabbing your gun by the balls and pointing it in a direction, it's it's hard to the Thunderhead to really feel particularly anything. At least that's the way I see it. Like it's like all the others. I mean, we'll get
Yeah,
to them, but they
composite
provide
drums. It doesn't.
something to aim towards.
Yes,
Gun.
and composite drums doesn't really push it in any particular direction, but it's not
Yeah,
like
which is a
it doesn't.
thing.
Yeah, and it's just giving more of what it doesn't necessarily need. Obviously, you can push it in certain directions through upgrades, but you're just better if you want to do certain things with the Thunderhead. You're just better off like using the other overclocks. Composite drums just I don't know, but it's obviously a 3. It's obviously. I mean, just look at it. You can't be. You can't say it's bad. You just can't. So these are 3. Like, Splintering Shells is very good. It's just a solid AoE pick, and there's nothing wrong with it. So it's a 3 and 3, as far as I'm concerned, for these 2. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Balanced. Got the Carpet the Bomber and combat mobility. Carpet Bomber increased area damage and radius at a cost of too much direct damage, frankly. And combat mobility, which increases movement speed while firing.
One of my favorite overclocks.
It increases movement speed while firing, increases rate of fire growth speed, which includes adding a little bit of minimum rate of fire too, and increases accuracy at cost of halving your magazine size. Combat mobility fucking rules, man. I love this overclock. Just
You know what it does? I just realized it's the LMG mod. Actually
what
is.
do you mean?
It's
What do you
the
mean by that?
LMG mod. It turns the Thunderhead into an LMG.
Okay.
It brings it down to about 55 mags, which is about LMG. It reduces the slowdown a bit, and the fire rate's increased. It actually, I just realized that. No wonder I like it so much.
Yeah, combat mobility is weird, isn't it? Because it's I said it like fucking rules, and it does, but I'm still personally going to give it a 3
Yeah, it's still a
Only
three.
because I think it equals out to something like composite drums, because this is just pure utility, but you're not gaining any damage or ammo like you are with composite drums, or damage like Big
DPS
Bertha.
is pretty solid.
Yeah, increases your
Works.
DPS, and it's like just a lot of great utility. The fuck. So common ability is like one of the. It's like free, but it's like one of the best frees. As in, like free is still good, remember, but common ability is the shit.
You want threes. Threes are a good balanced, good parts of the game.
But it almost seems unbalanced considering how many like upsides it has. But remember, it's like it doesn't. The number doesn't matter necessarily, because the downside is half in your magazine size, and you feel that. This is one with the positives. The positives and negatives do genuinely feel equal in this case. I think
it's just really, really good.
so. That's an easy free.
It's just good. It changes the gun radically and in a cool, interesting way. You feel it. It's a really fun play style. Like, probably one of my favorite builds on.
Yeah, and it allows you to reasonably spec into fire rate, accuracy, or direct damage. Like you can go in a lot of different directions with it, and they all feel good. So this is like a free, but free in a particular way where it's like an ideal to strive towards. But unlike Carpet Bomber, which doesn't quite meet the requirements.
It's a 2, right?
I think it is a 2. I've been using it recently, and it is better at what it does than splintering shells. At what it does. That's still a lot of direct damage to lose, though. That's still. It's difficult because it's technically slightly more than twice as good as splintering shells, because you've got that's +1 area damage, that's +3. This is +0.3 radius, this is +0.6. So it's technically a bit better than double splintering shells. It's really difficult, Carpet Bomber, actually. I think we're going to give it a 2, only because I don't quite know why.
The Thunderhead, which I don't think is often entirely appreciated, in that it does. You know, I mentioned it grabs it by the ball, and for this example, by the 2 drum mag, grabs it by there, and it says, "When you go up against a big enemy, you are now useless."
Carpet Bomber is the most restrictive one.
Yeah,
that's why it's getting a 2. Yeah, I mean, like, it's the only one that's going to get a 2, and that's another good reason why it's okay, because it's the only one that needs help out of this bunch, I think. You know?
Yeah, but like, does it even need help? Because
it needs, if any of them need help, it's the only one that needs to be brought up.
Why does it need help, Harry? Is it because it does what it wants to do very well, but doesn't do everything?
Yeah, as in, would it still be bad if it was better at crowd clearing, but it had the same penalties and direct damage? Because the Carpet Bomber the Thunderhead thrives on just being like, good in pretty much every scenario. So it's like, would you want to increase the area damage even more, or would you actually want to reduce the penalties? I don't actually know. You know?
Is it already good enough in AoE? Because generally I felt like it was.
I think it is. And you just need to reduce the penalties somewhat. No, Tom, no. It is. It's just because the penalties don't feel like it's worth taking.
Why do you need area damage when there's neurotoxin?
Kill multiple enemies.
When neurotoxin also increases area of effect.
And neurotoxin also has the same weaknesses, realistically.
Does really, yeah.
But neurotoxin's just stronger.
Yeah.
So Carpet Bomber's good, but when there's literally something that just does the same job but better, what's the point?
No, it makes sense to give Carpet Bomber a 2, I think.
I guess Carpet Bomber was a 2 because it is a bit off balance, but also just because neurotoxin is a bit too overwhelming and they kind of fight in the same area. Multiple enemies at the same time.
Yeah.
So speaking of, the
Big Bertha. Big Bertha.
I mean, it's a 4.
Yeah, boy. It is absolutely 4. I'm glad you said that, because I was going to say that, and I wasn't in the mood to argue, because I was going to give it a 4 no matter what. Because Big Bertha is like, right. So we gain lots of direct damage. Yes. We gain increased accuracy. Yes. So it's 4 single target damage, right? No, it's for everything. Big Bertha, you are actually compared to the default Thunderhead, you are better at everything with Big Bertha still, because of how quickly you kill shit, and that includes every kind of enemy as well. Just so much quicker at killing, and it doesn't harm the AOE, the base AOE in any way, either.
Yeah, I feel like you got to kind of look at what it gives and realize, all right, half a magazine size, bad, not that bad. Right? Like it's livable. It's still 55.
Also, hold on. We'll look at magazine damage, right? And it it goes down, but I wasn't actually expecting that.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot less magazine size.
When
Obviously-
Big Bertha revs
obviously-
up, shit goes down.
Yeah,
Literally.
and by shit I mean everything in your way, everything in your way.
It's like I just use it to like tap fire normally. You could just sort of tap fire, really accurate. That's good. And then it's like, oh, there's some enemies, and then you just start revving it up, and then they just all fucking die. Like you just carve through them like they're nothing.
Yeah, I think Big Bertha by itself checks itself enough to stop it from being overpowered, but it doesn't have any weaknesses either. But it doesn't.
I think Big Bertha. I guess Big Bertha is why Carpet Bomber looks bad, because Big Bertha is just so strong.
Yeah,
Because
I almost wish that.
Look at it this way, right? Carpet Bomber specs into area damage and sacrifices direct damage. Big Bertha specs into direct damage and then sacrifices ammo. That's what it does.
Yeah.
And it's that thing that you still have area and direct, but then with Carpet Bomber you have area but no direct.
I want to see what like the timeline looks like where Carpet Bomber is the unstable, and these two are swapped. Neurotoxin and Carpet Bomber. Like, what does that look like? But yeah, Big Bertha easily gets a 4. Now,
I think it would be slightly weaker if they nerfed the ammo mod, because then you would feel the ammo decrease on Big Bertha.
yeah, because Big Bertha doesn't have an ammo problem, does it? It reduces ammo, but you still like.
Mentioned,
Well, you know,
the price you pay.
take it away. Look at the total damage increases as well, especially when you take more ammo. Fucking hell. But yeah, then we have war crimes, neurotoxin payload. Well, it's a 5, but if we look at like what we did for like Burning Hell, for example, it technically shouldn't be a 5 because it's not like a win pick in every scenario.
I guess.
It's weird, isn't
Because
it?
of rivals.
Only because of the fucking robots, yeah. Only because of the fucking robots. Well, yeah, and it's like, oh, yeah, robots, but 5 is too strong. And yeah, if there's something that it doesn't work against, I suppose that makes it worse, right? It does.
Yeah, but I think.
That's not a good way. In my opinion, that's not actually a good way of balancing something. Neurotoxin payload is still too strong against the stuff that it works against.
I would always define neurotoxin as too strong.
Yeah, it should just be.
Doesn't matter if
It should
it
just be
has
nerfed, but it
some-
should be able to. You should be able to use it against everything. That's how I see game most of the time. I feel like everything should be usable against everything. I really don't like it when things sort of limit the things that you can use depending on what, you know. I don't mind there bad builds existing. I don't like there being bad builds for like entire mission types though. I don't like that. I think you should still be able to make a bad build. There shouldn't be good builds though that don't work sometimes, in my opinion. A good build should always be a good build, which is why neurotoxin is still getting a 5. I personally would see it change to be somewhat weaker, but actually use corrosion instead. That's what I would do, because then it would be usable against everything. But either way, people understand what neurotoxin is. They understand it's like it has this sort of level of ammo efficiency and the number of things it can kill, and it's just disgusting. And it's also boring. It's also boring.
It is game breaking in a bad way.
Yeah.
It really is.
That is actually a good point. It's been brought up in discussions where it's like sometimes people don't like it when someone else uses neurotoxin payload. It's got problems actually. Even though we gave that damage upgraded tier 1 a 1, I think neurotoxin payload is the most unhealthy thing about the Thunderhead. I still love the fact that it exists though. It's like this really fun
I think once again,
point
though,
of contention for people. And I like it as a subject for the game. I like it.
Yeah. The Neurotoxin payload and same with the Big Bertha, they benefit heavily from the overwhelming strength of that ammo mod. Because if both of them had difficulties with ammo, they would be a significantly more balanced. But because of that mod, they don't. They are fine with ammo. So I think a nerf to the ammo would actually hit both of these things.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be an interesting thing to see.
Well, I think neurotoxin payload absolutely incurs a ammo penalty for itself as well.
110%.
110 ammo. That's right. That's how much you should take away. Well done. How much it should take away. Anyway, yeah, that's neurotoxin payload. That's the Thunderhead. That's the Thunderhead. I'll show. Actually, I guess I'll show you guys the power. The power. The table. That looks right to me. That looks pretty good to me. There you go, Thunderhead. A healthy young man. Not young anymore. He's an old man, but.
Yeah, no, I genuinely think if they nerfed that ammo mod, the gun would just get healthy.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think.
Yeah, actually, I suppose that I just said that neurotoxin is the most unhealthy part about it. That could be true, but it's not the root of the problems. The root of the problems is this ammo mod. The root of the problem.
It is the fact that those two things that the Big Bertha relies on not having enough ammo for it to be balanced, right? It sacrifices ammo for its overwhelming strength. Yeah, ammo is still not an issue, even when it's sacrificed. That is why Big Bertha is so strong. And Neurotoxin, it would be strong anyway, but I think its weaknesses of not always able to use would kind of equal it out a little bit more. It would still be like a 4, but be a more balanced one. But the ammo makes it unequivocally overpowered in anything other than the things it can't be used on at all. That's just not how it's told. So I think that ammo mod needs to get taken down a peg. I think that's something we learned from doing this, which is a bit.
You know who needs to be put up a peg? The Hurricane.
Oh.
Yeah. Right. Oh shit! There's nothing on screen at the moment. That wasn't meant to happen. There it is. There's Carl. The Hurricane. Not as much here, is there? Yes. How rude.
Yeah, he sounds like the kind of guy that engineers cars.
What? The hell are you doing?
I realised my laptop is.
Oh. Anyway, the Hurricane's got a lot of empty space. And this is going to be pretty funny, especially with some of the tiers. Although, this might not be as bad as some people might be thinking. Maybe Tyler is one of those people.
I don't know what to think about the Hurricane.
No.
They've not used it anywhere close to enough.
No. Tier 1, plus 72 max ammo, plus 4 direct damage, plus 0.8 meter AoE radius.
Weird, that isn't it?
Now, this is the Hurricane is the thing that relies most on you understanding like breakpoints and stuff to know what isn't worth using. As in, this damage mod is not worth using, but the other two are. If you want me to basically just tell you the answers, this is a 3-2-3. Direct damage is not worth using in this case. It's mainly because it's a weapon that specs so heavily or more heavily into area damage than direct damage, which is the inverse of the Thunderhead. They both have both, but Hurricane's more AoE. And plus, the AoE radius is felt very strongly and it allows you to kill so much more shit, especially with AoE focused builds. So you've got a 3 for this ammo because it's just a solid amount of ammo to gain. And you've got a 3 on this because it genuinely does increase the amount of how much shit you can kill. This gets a 2 because it doesn't change the amount of shit you can kill, other than reducing it. It doesn't meet any significant breakpoints, unfortunately. But if it did, then maybe it would have some points. But it's not worth using because it doesn't change anything. It just means you have less ammo or less radius than you could have. So that's a pretty. There you go. That's the answer. Because I know the Hurricane. I know the Hurricane probably better than maybe even the other two. Only because there's more to like know almost. You need to know certain things.
Yeah, the Gen 3 weapon, slightly spicier.
Kind of. Tier 2, we got bigger jet engine, which is increased max velocity and turn rate, and we got anti-tank missiles. It's not even a lot of armor breaking, but okay. So obviously, we're giving anti-tank missiles a 1, and you should know why by now. You should know why.
It don't work.
It doesn't work. And which I think means this defaults to a 3. It's a very good upgrade. It could even be split in 2. Which is actually, I'm going to give it a 4 actually, because you could split this in 2, and they would both be better than anti-tank missiles. And they're useful for pretty much the same reason. The 2 parts of this upgrade. Oh well, it doesn't really even matter. I'll give it a 4. Mainly also almost just to illustrate the problem even further of the armor breaking thing. I mean, I assume you don't disagree because I know you don't.
It doesn't work. Yeah.
I mean, on they're giving us a 4. I mean, I'm giving this.
Sure, yeah. I mean,
It's like, sure, yeah, why not?
essentially it's a 5. It's a must pick because you would never use the other one, but see, that's not used.
No.
Yeah, it looks fine.
Right, tier 3. This is another one. This is actually isn't to do with breakpoints, but this is another one where the Hurricane just flips like the standard, like stereotypical trends on its head. You got increased magazine size times 2 actually, so it's actually gaining 36 ammo, which is not nothing. Or you get +1 rate of fire, which is usually the better pick. More often than not. In fact, I look at the selection, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. And I also think the nano missiles barely are ever a benefit. In fact, it's literally 1 build, and even then, you're probably better off double downing on the rate of fire. So this is a 2 and a 4, as far as I'm concerned. Rate of fire was always a good pick. It's especially good with the unstables. Well, yeah, that's it. It's a good pick all the time, but it's especially good with the unstables. It benefits both of these greatly compared to increased magazine size. But it's still a good ammo increase and good overall, total magazine damage increase. So it's definitely not a 1, but it's usually not the best pick, and this is always a really good pick. So we got a 2 and a 4 here.
I don't know how I've done it, Harry, but I have come to the exact same conclusion. With all my Hurricanes, all of them are fire rate.
Yeah, because the Hurricane makes fire rate a genuinely good pick. Which is just kind of cool, I think. When I say, especially it works for all of them. Yeah, Mine Their System you could argue against, but even then, I still use it for Mine Their System, and that's one of my favorite builds in the game.
I just realised they use the armor breaking quite a bit. The Hurricane,
but for example, salvo module it's way better to use fire rate. Obviously, so this is a solid 2. What?
Does it charge quicker?
Yeah, it charges quicker. Yeah.
It wouldn't make sense with the normal one because it's you can't hold it down. Oh my god.
What?
5 of my 6 Hurricanes had the armor breaking mod.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Well, it depends. I suppose sometimes maybe you don't want the missiles to be faster. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. It's because a lot of them are more direct, and direct is like, oh, armor breaking, and I never thought to check.
Tier 4, we got plus 50% weak point bonus or plus 4 direct damage. Now, tier 1, I gave the direct damage mod a 2 because in the case of the Hurricane and because of what the Hurricane naturally specs itself into, it's the least sensible pick. But tier 4 is weird because we've got it partially because it's plus 50% weak point bonus, but this is great for a lot of builds actually. And obviously jet fuel homebrew, obviously, because that's all direct damage. Salvo module as well. It's very nice if you can use either for salvo module, can't you? Really? Can you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you want to get really up close and do a lot of direct damage, shrapnel load works very well. It's good general single target damage for something like this, But I have a build that uses frag missiles and increased weak point damage, and it really works. It's so odd, and you'll know why, because this area damage mod actually has the same problems as this direct damage mod in that it doesn't really change breakpoints all that much.
Isn't it the exact same one? Like, it's the exact same amount of damage.
Yeah,
essentially.
which is why it's really mainly worth made using by mine layer system, because that doubles it, so then it actually using a significant increase. This is a really weird scenario where I think this actually might be a 2 again, especially because it has the same issues as this, like I mentioned. This isn't necessarily a 4. This is definitely a 3. It's surprising how good it is, but it's still just a 3. Zip Fuel could definitely be a... What do you use the salvo module in this tier 4?
Weak point.
Yeah, okay. How often do you use
The
Zip
only
Fuel?
thing I have the AoE thing on is Mine Layer and fragmentations. So
Yeah, Mindlet system is the only one where it's like a must pick. As in, because you would never use the other one with Mindlet system. And also plasma bursting missiles, but plasma bursting missiles is plasma bursting missiles.
if just weak points not do that then?
What?
Right, the plasma burster hitting weak point, does it not?
No, it
do more
does.
damage?
It does, but
Then what's wrong with picking that?
there isn't anything wrong with it.
Right.
So yeah, unfortunately, Zip Fuel does actually fall behind in terms of usability, which is really, really weird. I'm not even sure if it's just because shrapnel load is plus 50%, because I think that's bigger than normal, but I don't even know if it's that. It's probably just because Zip Fuel doesn't change like valuable breakpoints.
It's worth mentioning, audience. If you disagree with him, I don't know enough to check him, so you're gonna have to do that in the comments below.
Whoop, whoop. All right.
Say, oh, hold up.
Goodbye.
Wrong.
Napalm in few rounds. That's 33% of direct damage and area damage to heat. Now, okay.
Is in heat damage or heat?
It's just heat. It's not fire damage. It doesn't add damage. You don't retain the damage. You lose damage, but you inflict heat.
So yeah, you lose 33%, but it gets turned into heat.
Yeah. It was uncontrolled decompression, 25% chance to stun for 3 seconds, and nitroglycerin compound, which is utter shit. Nitroglycerin compound was such a cool idea, but it's really bad. And maybe because it was made for plasma bursting missiles as well. Nitroglycerin compound is definitely not a downgrade, but yeah, well, it's getting 2, but it's just not worth picking over the other 2 in like any build. Like honestly, especially AoE, but this does nothing for direct damage. But it's also way worse than the other 2 for AoE. So it's just a really poor soul. I'm tempted to give it a 1.
Did you ever use it on anything ever?
No.
1.
Well, maybe plasma bursting missiles.
You know that doesn't count.
But even then, if you're using plasma bursting missile, considering how little damage it does, you should probably be using stun, because otherwise you're not going to survive. Fine, nitroglycerin gets a 1. Look, I don't mind doing this because I don't think the hurricane's that healthy. So
Clearly.
I don't mind throwing the occasional 1 to prove that. But we have the other 2. Okay, uncontrolled decompression. This is a really good stun, and it works very well for the hurricane. It's good for both direct and area damage builds. Either one. Feels very good for AoE because it just groups enemies up better by stunning them. So you've got that. And direct damage. Sometimes it's still annoying for the Praetorian thing, but it's still the best pick for direct damage usually. I'm going to give uncontrolled decompression a solid 3. Napalm infused rounds, however, is a difficult one. There's definitely reasons to hate it on principle. Isn't it, Tyler? Isn't it?
A little bit.
But
I kind of like having damage.
I don't mean that. Napalm.
Oh right, yeah. The fact that it's fire is fucking stupid. Because if you want to be doing fire, just use a gun. It's
Exactly.
infinitely better.
Exactly.
There's 3 different ways of doing it. Compare it to this, and it's a fucking shit show. It's another reason why I think the Hurricane's just kind of ass. Because even though
Yeah.
this isn't inherently that bad, is it? Like,
No, it's actually
is
pretty
it?
good. Unfortunately, if I'm being really objective, the only thing that really benefits from this is actually Mind Layer system. Although in general, it's still a decent pick. Any real AoE build as well, and that includes Salvo module. So you're not going wrong picking Napalm infused rounds, but it's like highly beneficial for Mind Layer system because it just jacks up the efficiency of it like by quite a lot. But it's definitely not a bad pick. It's just not as I don't know what the word is. I guess there's only one really particular use for it. At the same time, I think it's good enough where it's probably just a free as well. I don't feel too strongly about it. I think it's like an okay pick in general with one really good pick, and then like Stun is like more average overall. But you know, Napalm infused rounds is on average not far behind, and it does have that one really good pick as well. So I think they're pretty much equal. So we've got a 3, 3, and a 1. I don't.
Arguably the most healthy tier.
Well, tier 1 is a 3, 2, 3. It's not bad, is it? No. Overclocks. This thing doesn't deserve 7 overclocks. Cleans. Manual guidance card.
Definitely a 2. Not as much as a throw as people would say, but it's not a good pick either.
No.
It's not useless. It's not a 1. If you want what it provides, it's perfect. No one really does. Like, I'm glad it exists. It doesn't need to change.
Well,
It ain't strong.
I think it should be probably. Maybe they should add it to tier 2. Maybe they should add it or something.
Honestly, maybe a mod.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. I'll give that a 2. Overtune feed mechanism. Oh, increases max velocity. I forgot about that. And +1 rate of fire. Very nice generalist thing. It's not often worth using, but when you use it, it does feel very good, and it also has no downsides either. So that's another solid 3. Fragmentation missiles, +2 AoE damage, +0.5 meter AoE radius. Genuinely a really good one. I think it's better than the Thunderhead's version of this, like as in for the weapon. Hurricane actually benefits a lot more from this than you would expect, and it's what makes this in tier 1 actually like a lot better than the ammo in some cases. You know, if you're going for AoE, you really should be like doubling down, taking both this overclock and that, or taking Mind Layer system and that mod. Fragmentation missiles is a solid 3. Definitely a good pick. That's it. Just straight up. Not much to it. We got 2, 3, and 3. But then Palace missiles. Yeah, alright, fine. I don't even know what to say about it. I don't know what to say about it. It's just shit. Yeah, okay, yeah. What I will say about it is, hold on, what was 1 again? What was 1? The actual unusable. It's one of the most downgrade things that you can choose. It's one of the things in the game it's more of a downgrade than almost anything else in the game. So, yeah, definitely 1. I don't even know why I wasn't like 100% on that before, like going into this, because I wasn't. I'll be honest.
I don't know how they haven't like buffed it or anything.
They haven't buffed it because they tried they had to nerf it so much. They'd already like changed it so much. And it's like I guess it's a failure. I guess it's a
Hurricane. They went through so much. I mean, it wasn't like the Napalm mod as well, like really fucking scuffed.
Napalm was like OP as shit. It used to be plus 50% damage as heat. Now it's a conversion of a lesser amount. No, it's you know. Okay.
You really wouldn't want 50% of your damage converted.
Yeah, Mind Layer system. Oh god, I feel like I need to. I feel like I need to do this in comparison to sort of the next two almost, because I would give my layer system a 4 because of how the Hurricanes is so much so already for area damage. But at the same time, my layer system still deals with ground-based heavier targets just fine. And yeah, I guess
God, like,
no, it obviously has the problem of airborne targets existing. It's not actually completely unusable against them, just in general. But also, you can sort of use sort of walls and ceilings to advantage. It definitely it still works. But when it comes to sheer efficiency and how much shit it can kill with how little ammo, it's just up there. You can kill like any amount of grunts in like hold on, what is it? It times 1.5 meter AoE radius. So you have that. That's 2.2. Times 1.5 is like that's 3.3 meters. Every grunt within that radius can die from 2 rockets if you take napalm rounds, which obviously sounds like quite a few like loopholes. Which is why I'm actually going to give mine their system a 3, especially considering I've talked about the fragmentation missiles thing, where it's like there's a really solid, like genuinely solid build for that that's almost just as good. But then again, it's also you're not limited by the fact that you have to lay mines in the ground either. Mine their system's just very very strong, but it's also got like the penalties to match, and that makes it a 3, I think. So you don't like using it, do you? But I'm not going to let you deny its strength. But I'm not going to let you.
half.
What?
1.
Oh no! Well, it's definitely not going to be 1, considering I was going to try and give it a 4. Alright. Jet fuel homebrew. So a lot of direct damage and increased max velocity, increased starting velocity, but we lose quite a bit of area damage and radius and some max ammo and magazine size. But you really do feel that increased direct damage. Mainly when you hit weak points, though. It's definitely worth using. This is actually really up there in terms of the amount of direct damage you can do. It's just not the easiest thing to use. As in, when you get those weak point hits, it's stronger than Big Bertha. But when you don't, you're sort of it comes off as like not a great choice. It's weird, but I think it almost balances out just enough to be a 3. Because obviously, at its peak, it's like like way better than that. But it's also a little bit weird when you're not quite like when your skill isn't quite there. But it's still good even then. But at its best, it's also crazy good. You can just demolish, especially bosses. They just go down so quick, and obviously they're a lot easier to hit in the weak points as well. And it can dispatch any like single enemy very quickly. So it still can handle groups, like as in it can still handle swarms. You still have a little bit of AoE and you have a lot of direct damage. And yeah, it's good. It's pretty good. It's a 3. I like it when an unstable gets a 3.
Not often. They tend
Speaking of, well, not speaking of unstable. Speaking of cleans, it's salvo module.
Love salvo module.
Love salvo module. I don't love salvo module. Salvo module's really good though. Like it is actually really good. In fact, it's more than a clean because it's like it definitely has more. Yeah, I think the reason why people say it's like a clean is because it doesn't actually have that many like bonuses necessarily, but it definitely does.
And you can essentially use it like a normal gun, although it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it's not like optimal. Yeah, salvo module's just kind of cool, and it definitely works at what it does. It's definitely in my opinion, I would consider it a bit of a downgrade though if it didn't increase the damage for each missile loaded though.
I didn't know it did that.
That's what makes it worth using as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, you get plus. It adds plus for. Oh right, hold on. How much does it add? For each missile added to the salvo, all missiles deal more damage. Okay, up to +4 in both direct and area damage. For each missile, I think. So that's quite a bit. So that's quite. Yeah. So, salvo module is quite good. it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't technically have a downside. It just changes the way the weapon works. So
I don't think I read that. I think it's just +4 damage at the end. It gets up to +4.
well, I thought I read it wrong at first because I thought it was +4. Well, either way, it's still more damage. So, where would you rank it? Where would you? What rating would you give it?
I think it's pretty. It's nice. It's not particularly dominating. Like, I mean, you don't like it. I do. I think either of us are worse off. It's just like, yeah, a bit of an annoying constant fire rate, but when I need a bit of burst, Torian's ass is in my face, or there's a shit ton of grunts, and I can just jump, boom, shaka the whole motherfucking lacquer, they're gone.
It's
That's
got
at the very least satisfying.
It's got a good thing going on. I think maybe the thing that brings it down to a 3 from any higher is, I guess, probably just how much it changes the hurricane, really. And that means it's not going to sit right with a lot of people, including myself. Even though I still like using it occasionally, I'm not a salvage module lover. And you know what? I'm going to give it a 3 as well because I think that aside from Minigun's cut obviously is like a bit weird, but it's also like you could consider that the extra one as well, given that there's 3 cleans. It's really just counter-bursting missiles. Apart from that, you've got 5 overclocks here that are all like balanced. So it's really not bad in that department.
As a bursters and the gun itself, like its mods, are very kind of messed up.
Yeah, a little bit messed.
But its overclock selection's actually solid.
Yeah. Love me Hurricane. Oh yeah, okay, so you don't love the Hurricane, but you love the Salvo module.
I like Salvo module, but I do not like the Hurricane.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a Hurricane. I mean, which one of these is the most healthy? Really, I don't. It's
The issue is while I did this, I was thinking at the end we were gonna try and figure out what the most healthy is, like get them all together, divide them, average. And then I realized the healthy ones and the most unhealthy ones would both be sitting closer to 3. So I'm not sure exactly how I'd have to work that out. I guess we'd just see the amount of 3s, amount of 4s, amount of 5s. Yeah, what is it's definitely the Thunderhead.
well, the point is the Hurricane's probably the most troublesome.
Yeah,
It's the most troublesome of the bunch. I look at the minigun; it's actually doing pretty good. It doesn't look too different from the Thunderhead.
yeah.
I'd say, obviously, it's actually really just numbers. The Thunderhead is really quite healthy, aside from one. Well, you could argue a couple of issues, but from one source, arguably, and I would say the source is not actually the upgrade, like straight up. I'd say more so it's just its ammo situation in terms of having too much, in terms of and how that needs to be addressed. And that includes, and that can be addressed mainly by downplaying that mod.
Yeah, that mod I think is what makes it touch the too much ammo. Personally, I think if it was a more reasonable one, maybe halving it, that might do something.
You could get away with halving it, I think. Really,
Half that and half the ammo capacity. I think you would kind of, and then maybe we'd reassess it, see how it goes. Maybe you might have to increase the damage one, but I don't think it would change much. Yeah, I don't know. I think it would really change the gun if you would. And I think I don't know. Obviously, I think it's a healthy gun, but I also think it might be OP. Generally, as a weapon goes, I think it might be too much of a strong pick always. You really can't fuck up the Thunderhead, even in Hazard 5. It cannot be said for many other weapons.
The Thunderhead's almost got it too good.
Yeah. Which is why it's often S, and by often S, I mean we've done 2 gun tier lists, and both times the only reigning champion.
That is actually true because I remember it was the first one had both minigun. Did it have minigun in it? No, was it just the cryo cannon? Yeah, but the cryo left. But Thunderhead did not. Thunderhead
Then
stuck
there's
around.
been 2 new guys that get 2 in like.
Oh god, I forgot about the wave cooker. Jesus Christ. And I forgot we put it in
fairness,
S.
we essentially did this exact thing in that video. At the end, we were literally
Yeah, for that, I guess.
down the mod.
Yeah. Anyway, that is we've done the job though. For today.
Yeah, and I think you were right at the beginning. We're definitely not going to be doing the secondaries now.
No, certainly not.
Thank you for watching. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Some of you often do without prompting, but
Well, no, no,
Always.
it's not about that. I don't think it's about prompting. It's just about making sure they know that we appreciate people sharing their thoughts.
yeah,
Because
like, we're not going to kick you and ban you or whatever you can do. We can't do either of those things. Block you is probably
no, I just mean if you're someone who's going to leave your thoughts anyway, I just want you to know that it's appreciated.
and
if you don't necessarily, I would encourage you to share your thoughts. So
we always read it.
we
Laugh if it was a stupid. Actually, I always read it, and then if it's either a really good point or a really stupid point, I'll tell Harry to read.
I look at them more than you think, maybe. As in, I tend to look at most of the comments afterwards, like later on, after after you've sucked them off.
So I've given them a like to show that I've seen it. But some things I've hesitated that I've seen them, but I didn't want to leave a like on it because it was a bit too spicy.
Those are the ones I would pin.
Yeah.
That's why I don't do that. That's part of the reason I don't look at the comments like in that way, is because I don't really want to get into anything. I don't want to get into arguments or whatever, and I probably would, because I've got too much to say, or too much that I could say about these things. Yeah. Either way, sorry, we're dragging this out a little bit. That's all from us today. We will see you again
Monday, although going somewhere Monday, so we'll do stream.
That's fine. That's fine. You have lots more saved up for next week.
Yeah.
I'll see you on Monday, certainly. Be there or be somewhere else.